all. For those of you who have tuned in, karibuni sana. This will give a few minutes for people to log on. Habaz Martin underscore Nguta, I see you. Thank you for making time to join us today. Kate Maingi, Mudhoni, Loveline, Grand Duke, Shiko, Muiruri. See you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'm guessing that's Instagram, right?
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok,
Instagram, TikTok, and
the rest.
the rest, the rest being YouTube.
LinkedIn, and Facebook.
YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. All right. I hope you can all hear and see me well. This one's a bit far. I told you guys to buy a new stand. Hmm? Why haven't you guys gotten a new stand? I'm going to Anika you guys in front of everyone. Gladys and David, why don't we have a new stand?
Yeah.
New Year, New Resolution.
No, New Year is too far. New Year in Bali. By the way, there's 2 weeks remaining in this year. Yikes. New Year's in Bali. All right. Sorry, I'm messing with this thing a bit, just trying to make sure I'm not too good looking on camera, because uh, okay. There we go. Inaonekana poa?
Yeah.
Hapo ni sawa. Asante sana. Nashukuru. Okay, 3 minutes past 7. Thanks to Mkuru Genzi that I know you now. JM.OH97. Thank you for that comment and thank you for tuning in. My name is Solomon Wangwe, founder, managing director of Goshen Acquisitions Limited, as well as its wholly owned subsidiary, Grand Acres Limited. The most transparent, hands down, the best land sellers in Kenya today. Anyone tells you otherwise, they have no clue what they're talking about. So, pleasure to be here. It's our last live event for 2023, so I'm excited for that reason. It's been a number of sessions this year since we started, and so many of you have made it a weekly habit to join, which we absolutely love. So thank you one and all for making time to tune in today. As always, if you know someone you like or love that would benefit from the conversations that we're about to have this evening, please take a moment to send them a link to this live event. Please don't be selfish, but only to those you like and love. Please. Why? Because we like good vibes only. We don't make space for negative energy or vibes. So just take a few seconds to share this link with everyone that you know, like, love, that is looking to invest in land, especially for your relatives who are visiting from the diaspora. Okay? Because I know a lot of them like to take advantage of the time here to find their next best investment opportunity. So please make sure you share, and let's make sure everyone gets empowered to make wise and safe land investments in Kenya. Okay, it's now 5 minutes past 7. We'll keep going until 8 p.m. So let's get started. Send in your questions. It's a Q&A session for those of you who are tuning in for the first time. You get to ask any question you want about land investment in particular, or property investment in general here in Kenya. Why? Because we love everything about land. It's what we do. And we like to be part of these conversations. Also, We've been doing this consistently for 12 years in Kenya. So we've learned a thing or two about how to go about it the right way. Why shouldn't you learn from my experiences? And perhaps you've been doing it longer. We could learn from yours. Okay. So it's about empowering each other. Send in your questions, or maybe you just have a comment, even a criticism. We welcome, absolutely. Okay. We're not afraid to have feedback on how we can improve, especially for those of you who are our existing customers. Uh, we welcome criticisms as well. A commentary about something that's going on in the news, also most welcome. Okay, now that that's out of the way, tuende kazi. First question is from Humble Boy on TikTok. Let's say if you have 5 million, can one get a good shamba? Absolutely, Humble Boy on TikTok. 5 million is a lot of money in Kenya. It will take you a long way, especially depending on what location or part of Kenya you're looking to invest at 5 million shillings. Some land is cheaper than others. So, absolutely. I mean, that represents pretty much the most expensive inventory we have on our books as Grand Acres, which is in Nanyuki and Lake Elementaita. Um, Nanyuki is 5.49 for half an acre, right around the biggest public dam in Laikipia East, mixed, rather residential use compound. And if you're watching me on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, you should be seeing that video playing. That's our actual site and our boundary wall with the gabion fence. Stunning property, the best residential compound in Nanyuki, if I say so myself. 5.49 million shillings only for residential half acre, a whole half acre. For reference, because I know most of you are used to buying or hearing about 50 by hundreds. A 50 by 100 is an eighth of an acre. So what you're going to get from us in Acacia Cove, Nanyuki, half an acre, is four of those 50 by 100 plots combined. Okay? Amazing value. Also, Lake Elementaita, we have quarter acre residential right on the lakefront. Lakefront, waterfront, okay? UNESCO World Heritage Site. This area is because of the amazing population of bird life that you will not find anywhere else on this beautiful planet of ours called Earth. And we have 99 meters of water frontage, duly approved by Nakuru County Government for residential use, and subdivision to quarter acres. Okay, again, that's playing if you're watching me on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Going for only 4.99 million shillings, a whole quarter. That's two 50 by hundreds on a waterfront within a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it's going to have all services provided. The area is pretty established already, so that's not difficult to do. We're flanked by two resorts, both of which have water and power, supplied by Gilgil Sub-County of Nakuru County and Kenya Power. Stunning, stunning views of the Sleeping Warrior, the lesser flamingo, lesser pelican flying right around you. Imagine what it would be like to wake up to that view, or have an Airbnb that you can visit from time to time when you're in Kenya or in that part of the country, or earn income from, okay? Because it's residential, it's been zoned residential. Because at Grand Acres, that's how we roll. We only do things right. We don't take shortcuts. We don't sell you a residential plot of land that is still zoned freehold agricultural, because that's just a con job. Okay, I'm just going to be blunt about that. The video speaks for itself. Okay, sunsets, amazing, heavenly sunsets. That's what Lake Elementaita is most famous for, is the sunsets. Stunning. I wish we could show you the still photos we took of the sunsets at Lake Elementaita, or better yet, you can come and see it for yourself live and in person. Reach out to us. We'll be happy to take you to the site so you can view that for yourself. Only 4.99. So, Humble Boy on TikTok, 5 million. That's a lot of money. you can get quite a bit. If you're buying from us in Imbuko, where we were selling 1 acre for only 1.19, that's easily 4.5 acres of land. A whole whopping 4.5 acres of stunning land with virgin soils and breathtaking views of Mount Kilimanjaro, the tallest freestanding mountain on this amazing planet of ours. And in case you haven't noticed yet, I've mentioned so many unique things about our sites from a geographic proposition perspective, because we are so blessed as Kenyans to live in one of the most beautiful parts of the globe with these amazing lakes and water frontages, with what has been um ranked the best beach in Africa multiple times over the last decade at the coast. We have Mount Kenya, the second tallest freestanding mountain in the planet, right at the heart of our country in Nanyuki, where you will be able to enjoy the views from our Acacia Cove compound. And Mount Kilimanjaro, right at the border with Tanzania. Unfortunately, most of that mountain sits on the other side of the border. We have like the pinky toe of the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro on our side. Nevertheless, anything within 100-kilometer radius will see that mountain, even further, depending on what side you're viewing from. And we are only 63 kilometers from the mountain, in your face. World's tallest freestanding mountain. Why wouldn't you want to own that view for only 1.19? So, Humble Boy on TikTok, I hope I've answered your question. I'm not going to talk about other people's properties because that's not our business. But we certainly have opportunities for you to look at. And of course, there's others out there if you take your time to look around. So, all the best to you, Humble Boy. Make sure you do your due diligence, no shortcuts. Even if you're buying from us, go through the due diligence. 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. If you do not have it yet, get the checklist. It's absolutely free as a download on our website, www.grandacres.co.ke. Find the tab that says checklist, download it. It's absolutely free. And again, share it widely, especially with those that you like, love, and respect, who you know are in the habit of making investments in land in Kenya. Okay? And as we say here, instead of wishing you good luck, which we don't believe in, because luck is iffy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're blessed. We prosper at all times, even while we're sleeping. So here we wish one another grand acres. What a blessing to wish someone grand acres. What good is luck? Give me a shamba. Ama,
Yes.
you guys are asleep. Grand acres to you, Humble Boy. Mo Gitu on Instagram says, hi, DIFF. What does that mean?
Difference.
Difference between, oh, okay, thank you. Thank you for schooling me. Mo Gitu on Instagram, hi, thank you for tuning in. You say, hi, difference between freehold and leasehold. Should you buy a plot that's leasehold? Okay, freehold and leasehold are different from one main reason. Freehold means you have absolute ownership forever, for perpetuity. And in most cases, you will not be subjected to annual taxes to the national government, otherwise known as land rent, because it's precisely that, it's freehold. Some counties will charge you rates, but rent definitely not applicable. Versus leasehold. Leasehold means you have a time limited ownership of the land. You enjoy the exact same ownership benefits as freehold, except your ownership is limited in time. In Kenya now, it's 99 years maximum that you own the land, after which you are allowed to renew your lease, your ownership, the length of your ownership, to another 99. There's a very specific process you have to follow, so do it early, work with professionals to help you. Also, leasehold will be subjected to both county taxes, otherwise known as rates, land rates, as well as national government taxes annually known as land rent. Okay, so that's the difference between leasehold and freehold. Should you buy a plot that's leasehold? Absolutely. Why not? If you're going to buy land, say in developed urban areas like Nairobi, Nakuru, Mombasa, Kisumu, and those kinds of places, a lot of the land tends to be leasehold. And there's nothing wrong with buying leasehold. Just make sure that when you're buying, it's not about to expire, because if it is, you can actually negotiate with your seller to renew the lease before it's transferred to you so that you have the longest time possible to enjoy absolute ownership of that property. It's best, especially for foreigners who are looking to own land in Kenya, because as per our constitution today, only Kenyan citizens are allowed to own freehold land. Okay, if you're a foreign national, you cannot own freehold land. It has to undergo change of tenure to leasehold, or has to be leasehold already. So, should you buy a plot that's leasehold? Why not? If it meets your goals, step number one on our checklist, define your goal, and then follow step two all the way to nine. If it meets your goals, everything checks out. Absolutely. Why not? Grand acres to you, Mogitu. Thank you for your question.
There's someone who's commented as we responded.
Uh-huh.
It's called Rashid Kanyau.
Speak loud so everyone can hear you.
Okay. Rashid Kanyau on TikTok made a comment on that and said, mine are 999 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, Rashid Kanyao.
Yes.
Rashid Kanyao on TikTok. 999 years is the term of the older leases. After the 2010 constitution was promulgated, all 999-year leases were cut down to 99 max. Okay, I know a lot of people are still holding ownership documents that reference 999, but that has effectively been made null and void and cut down to 99 from 2010. Okay, if you need further details or clarification on that, Mr. Kanyao, please visit a licensed advocate who can advise you further. Um, yeah, thank you for your question. Quika, is that how you pronounce that name? Quika, Quika, Quica on YouTube says, would you advise anyone to buy an apartment, especially in Nairobi? And if yes, how should one go about it correctly? Yes, again, quicker, as I just advised the last questioner, if the location, the size of the apartment, its amenities, and so on are in agreement with your goals or allow you to meet your goal for investing in that regard, absolutely. Why wouldn't you buy one? Especially Nairobi. Nairobi is the most viable place to own apartments. It's a capital city of Kenya. It's considered to be the economic capital of the region, East and Central Africa. Why wouldn't you? It's a regional hub. Lots of people need housing here, including foreign nationals who are in and out. Absolutely, especially in Nairobi. How should one go about it correctly? Um, Download our checklist, 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. Also applicable when you're buying developed property like apartments. Okay, except maybe for a survey. Um, and depending on how new the apartment is, you may actually be dealing with sectional titles, meaning the apartment has its own title deed as opposed to being listed as a sublease on a mother title to the original block of land that the entire building is sitting on. And as always, one of the critical steps on that checklist, I believe, is step number 6: hire a licensed advocate to help you from the very beginning. Do your due diligence, ask the right questions. If necessary, get a solid contractor to inspect the place for you, make sure everything is working like it's supposed to, and you'll be fine. That's how I would go about buying apartments in Nairobi correctly. Thank you for your question, Kwika. Njeri Wamike on TikTok says, how can I know if my title deed was funny? What's funny? What's funny?
Very over Mike.
Sasa, if there's no spacing, how am I supposed to know it's one mic? Come on. I'm sticking with my story. Njeri Wamike on TikTok. How can I know if my title deed is real or fake? Um, do your due diligence, Jerry, or Mike or Wamike. Um, if you do your proper due diligence, that'll get flagged fairly quickly. And if you really want to get anal about it, you can hire a professionals to do forensic investigations all the way down to the fibers of the paper that the title deed is printed on, the size of the seal, the government seal, the handwriting of the registrar who signed it. It can get pretty intense. But if you have to, why not? Normally, if you have fraud issues around properties, the DCI will do those types of forensic reports. They can even tell you if the paper itself is what the government printer usually prints on. Okay, so hire a licensed advocate. Step number 6 on our checklist. If you don't have the checklist in Jerry, Wamike, go to our website, download it. It's absolutely free. Why you would not have it yet, I have no clue. It's an absolutely free resource we put together just for you based on our 12 years of experience trading in land on a daily basis. Grand acres to you, Jerry. How did it start? Says H. Grand acres are bougie for real. Okay, how did it start? What do you mean by bougie? Please explain. And that's not a question technically. Okay. Nishi Gashambi. Nisi hizi majina jameni. Okay, Nisi Gashambi on TikTok. Can you sell land on my behalf or can you buy from me? The land is in Nakuru. Thank you for that question, Nisi. Oh, it's Nisi. Nisi Gashambi. Nisi, sorry for butchering your name. It's difficult to distinguish your names when they're all written as one name without spacing. So please forgive, not intentional. Unlike agents or brokers, we at Grand Acres and Goshen Acquisitions only sell what we wholly own. We don't act as middlemen or brokers, so therefore, we would not be the right partners for you to help you sell your land, Nisi, unfortunately. And there's very specific reasons for our decision to do that. Reach out on our WhatsApp number, which is 0700010001. Again, that's 0700010001. And I'll be happy to make recommendations to the one or two agents or brokers that I have worked with in the past. That would be the only ones I would ever work with. But the simple answer, Nisi, is no. We wouldn't be able to sell on your behalf. Can we buy? It depends on the size, on the location, amenities around it, any restrictions on zoning and that sort of thing. Again, reach out on that WhatsApp number. Someone will ask you for very specific details, including the pin drop, so that we can make an assessment about whether or not it's a property that would meet our investment goals. Step number 1, and the checklist, define your goal, and we can get back to you. Stanaman2 on TikTok says, hi, can one use a deceased's name to do a land search of all the lands he owned under his name? Why would you want to do that, Stanaman? If the deceased is indeed deceased, why would you want to use their name? a number of potential problems with that, beginning with the fact that you are misrepresenting facts by using a deceased person's name. And there's absolutely no reason to do that. You can search as yourself, even if the previous owner is deceased. There's no restriction to you doing the search on your own under your current name. Okay, that's a simple answer. Um, if you have a trusted advocate you can reach out to help you with that, they can do that. Also, if you're uncomfortable about using your own name for some reason, I do understand. Sometimes there's reasons why successors or people with a beneficial interest in a deceased person's property may want to conceal their identity while doing their own investigation to determine the true position or status of these properties. Fine, use an advocate and they can do the searches for you. Okay, Standerman 2, I wish you all the best. Thank you for your question. Ken on TikTok says, does Grand Acres offer due diligence services on behalf of a client? Thank you for that question, Ken. No, we do not. Best to use an advocate, a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya, to do that for you. There are certain things they can do a lot easier than a private individual or company even can do, okay, because they are officers of the court, therefore are accorded certain courtesies a lot freer than you could imagine having on your own. Okay, so it's not a service we offer, at least not yet. I suppose there's a possibility we could make that a service point, since we do know how to do due diligence, but currently it's not something that we offer. Work with a licensed advocate, a registered surveyor, and all these other professionals to determine the facts about the property you're looking at, and you should be okay, especially if you follow the 9 steps to a safe land buying in Kenya. As I have mentioned already, it's an absolutely free resource downloadable by you from our website, www.grandacres.co.ke. Okay, thank you for your question. Thicker Computers on TikTok says, what is caveat emptor? Okay, caveat emptor basically has to do with restrictions, and it's most commonly used in relation to title documents. Okay, I'll actually just read it for you from Google. Uncle Google is very good at making these definitions universally. It's a noun, and the noun means the principle that the buyer alone is responsible for checking the quality and suitability of goods before a purchase is made. Caveat emptor still applies when you are buying your house. Okay. Simply put, it's the restriction provided around liabilities on confirming the condition, the state of a product, in this case property, very commonly used in land transactions. Basically meaning that the burden of due diligence is on you, the buyer. You can't buy and something else comes up later and you claim you didn't know, therefore you should be refunded, blah, blah, blah. It's your responsibility as a buyer to make sure that the product or the thing that you're buying, which is land or a building or some other kind of property, is in the condition that is suitable or satisfactory to you. Okay? It's in that sense that caveat emptor is used. I hope that helps. Pika Computers on TikTok, thank you for your question.
Two-part question.
It's a 2-part. Where's part 2?
No, this one.
Oh, this one, meditating, relaxing. What's up, meditating, relaxing on YouTube? saying, Grand Acres, hello. It's that time of the year when we are getting bonuses or 13th month salary, etc. Looking at the global economic situation, doesn't it make sense to hold on to money? Would you advise one to purchase land or develop property, example, home, apartments? Thank you for that question. Again, we are not financial advisors, so um, keep that in mind as I share my opinion on this. Yes, it's end of month. A lot of people get bonuses for the end of the year. Um, some people, not everyone does get bonuses. It depends on the employer specifically and the condition of the business or the company that you work for, unless of course it's guaranteed in your employment contract. But that's a whole other matter altogether. But you know, in my view, the current state of global economy would not be a deterrent to me as far as investing in land or property. In actual fact, you'll find uh, some of the best deals available today precisely because of the economic condition. A lot of people are distressed economically and therefore are very motivated to raise funds for one thing or another, and therefore invariably will offer properties at amazing values and deals. So, rather than shy away from making a deal or making a purchase, I'm actually looking out a lot more aggressively. Yeah, in times of upheaval or distress globally, you study history, the world's greatest fortunes were always made in times of unrest and crisis, including most recently COVID, both positively and negatively, unfortunately, especially for those of us who are in Kenya, aka COVID billionaires, right? But the fact is, the pharmaceutical companies made a killing. We can have a debate about whether or not that was ethical and whether, you know, they were the originators of the whole COVID crisis. But many other industries did extremely well. Restaurants did extremely well because people were stuck at home and got tired of cooking all the time. So the takeout business did amazing. Um, Point is, and there's a million examples we could use in terms of crisis. You'll often find the best opportunities to make investments. So that's the perspective I take. Of course, do your homework, no shortcuts, follow due process, and you'll be fine. Also, as I've said before, it's never a good idea to have all your eggs in one basket. So, because we get asked all the time, how much of my long-term savings should I put into land investments? Because that's what we sell. And my, personal advice or take or opinion on this is, it's a rule of thumb that I came up with for myself, is never to have more than 30% of your long-term savings in land or undeveloped non-income producing property, because there's a difference. Obviously, land is great for speculative, long-term, passive growth investment. Is survivable of death, can be passed on to your successors. Very often, the world's wealthiest people will make money in one industry and put all that wealth into land. Just do a random study of the top 10 wealthiest people in the world today. You will be surprised to find out how much property they own. Not that they bought property from before. They could have made money in tech or agribusiness or whatever else. But very often they tend to park the bulk of it in property precisely because it is survivable, especially fixed immovable assets like land, because it ain't going anywhere. You could die today, your successors will receive it, it'll survive multiple generations, so on and so forth. Um, so, in terms of the rule of thumb on how much of your long-term savings, mine is 30%, because you need some liquidity for emergencies from time to time, or to take advantage of new opportunities that may come up suddenly. you want to have some liquidity, some cash, because land is a fixed immovable asset. You can't sell it by the snap or at the snap of your fingers. Therefore, you need to exercise some wisdom. And that depends from one person to another, depending on your age, your risk appetite, your income profile. All those things need to be considered. Your income earning potential between now and when you might need to retire, your personal needs, your very specific personal goals, which are extremely subjective. Okay? You can sit down and determine those for yourself, or you could also get the opinion of licensed and competent financial advisors to help you come up with those parameters. Now, because I am personally in the business of buying and selling land, I might take a little bit more of an exposure than 30% because I have a little bit more control over the liquidation process than an average person buying land for speculative purposes might. But 30% is a good. If you're worried about the state of the global economy, don't shy away from investing. Just be wise about it. And thank you for that question. And you say also, what properties can one purchase from you under a budget of 1.5 million shillings? Currently, none of our properties are priced under 1.5 million, but very soon, hopefully around February or March of next year, we will have available one of our bestseller products, 1 acre giant, 1 acre blocks of land overlooking the Amboseli National Park with stunning, breathtaking views of the world's tallest freestanding mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro, for only starting, I should say, from 1.19 million shillings. So if you're keen on that, let us know. We'll put you on the early bird list where you get notified before we ever go public with advertising. And hopefully you'll be able to snatch that deal up before it's gone. Thank you, Meditating, Relaxing. Now, there's a bunch of good questions there. 19260 on TikTok. Forgive me, I have to floss our cups that Gladys just served me my coffee in. How cool is that? I own land in Kenya. Do you own land in Kenya? If you don't, get busy about owning land in Kenya. And we were the first ones to come up with that tagline. And everyone in the shosho is stealing it from us now. But it's all good. You know, we like to share, especially when it's coming from genius. I digress. 19260 on TikTok says, would you advise someone to buy land that has never been registered by the government? I would not advise anyone to do that. It's highly risky, extremely risky to do so, because all sorts of things can go wrong. So 19260 says, I mean land that has no green card. Government demarcation hasn't reached that area. Yeah, what you're talking about, 19260, is land that is probably still trust land or about to go through what is called adjudication. That is a process that the government undertakes to create title documentation to land that has previously or hitherto been untitled. Hey, I do not recommend it. You know, even I, who tends to have a pretty high risk appetite, would be very hesitant to do that. I pulled out of one of those transactions precisely because of that. So it's not something I recommend that people do. Wait for it to have a title deed. Yes, you might need to pay a premium for the land because it has a title, but you will eliminate so much risk of loss of your money, which tends to happen a lot in those situations. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you, 19260s. Pop's Cartel. Oh, and I should point out the other side of the cup says, Goshen acquisitions, greater gains. I'm sorry, guys, for the shameless plug. It's the last live for 2023. I have to do it. Okay, so Pops Cartel one on TikTok says, if I buy land with you, what are the documents required for transfer? So Pops Cartel, whether you're buying land with us or anyone else, the same documents are required for transfer, and they are all listed in our checklist, 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. You can download it for free. David, do you mind finding the completion documents page, step number 9? Okay, there's the one with the list of completion documents. The other version. Okay, so really quick, what you need to transfer land, first of all, is the original title deed to the property that is to be transferred to you as a buyer. Okay.
Number 7.
Okay, so number 7 is a sale agreement that lists the completion documents required. Okay. So original title deed in respect of the property. You need duly executed transfer forms. This is a specific template issued by the Ministry of Lands that advocates have to use to prepare the transfer documents in favor of you, the purchaser, and it has to be done in triplicate, 3 copies, duly executed. It'll have to have your passport photos as well as the seller's passport photos attached to it. Okay? Current passport photos, don't get the teenage passport photos. You'll also, and they have to be colored, by the way, you'll also require certified copies of the seller's ID and the PIN certificate, same as yours. Once you submit those to the registry for registration, you'll have to include yours as well, and they have to be certified by a commissioner for oaths, which is an advocate who has the certification to be a commissioner for oaths, or a simple advocate licensed by the High Court of Kenya. You'll also need the original Land Control Board application as well as a consent to transfer if it was agricultural land. If it's not, you would have a letter of consent from the land administrator at the relevant Ministry of Lands registry as opposed to the Land Control Board, because Land Control Boards only deal with agricultural land. Anything that's not agricultural, you deal with the land administrator, okay? You'll also need, if the seller has a spouse or multiple spouses, you will need, and the property is registered to them personally as an individual, you'll need the spousal consent. Sworn affidavit by the spouse or spouses consenting to the sale or the transfer of that property from their spouse to you. That's a requirement now. It's not a suggestion. It is a requirement. A lot of people are not aware of this. You need to ask for spousal consent. Otherwise, it could come back to bite you later. If the spouse finds out later that their spouse sold land to you without their consent, and we have precedents on this, court decisions have been made to annul or reverse title ownership for individuals because the spouse never gave written consent. Okay? They have a right to consent because it affects their livelihood and economic well-being. As an extra step, I like to ask the seller to give me consents or sworn affidavits from any children over the age of 18, just to cover my bases. It's not a requirement, but I like to ask for it just so I'm covered. Also, certified copies of the mutation form, an updated copy of the registry index map, stamped, they have to be certified copies, and any other document requested by the registration officer at the Ministry of Lands. Okay, those are the basic documents you need to effect a transfer. There's a nice listing of it as part of step number 7 on signing the sale agreement on our checklist, 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. If you don't have it yet, download it immediately. It's on our website, www.grandacres.co.ke. Car23motors at gmail.com on TikTok says, kindly keep us posted on that 1 acre piece of land facing Amboseli National Park. 100% cars23motors at gmail.com. Just if you could kindly just DM us with your details. We'll grab your email address here since you've commented as your email address, and we'll add you to the early bird list so that you find out before anyone else out there in the public does. Okay? Serem_T on Instagram says, would you advise someone to buy land that hasn't been succeeded yet? So I'm guessing Serem_T means land that is going through succession, meaning the owner of record on that property is deceased and they didn't have a will, or maybe they had a will that's being contested, whatever the case may be. It has to go through succession, a process known as succession, to appoint an administrator or to have the property then transferred to the rightful successors or heirs. No, I would not touch anything that has not undergone succession. Just as risky as buying land that does not have title deed yet, because the name on the title to the land that you're buying is no longer applicable. That person is deceased. I would not advise it under any circumstances. Just wait until it's done. Even if it was my cousin selling me my uncle's land, I wouldn't do it. It's too risky. All sorts of crazy things can come up between now and when succession is completed. And I'm not interested in losing a single cent of my precious financial resource. So just wait. That's my advice to you, Serem_T. Grand acres to you. Okay, Serem_T has another question, which is, what is a special lands board? Serem_T, special lands board is a corrupt arrangement created by members of the public and the land boards themselves to issue approvals to your applications outside of the normal schedule of their sittings. That's what a special lands board is. They call it special because then it sounds legit. There is no such thing as a special land board. Ministry of Lands has gone as far as issuing nationally distributed memos to all the registries for the public to know there is no such thing as a special board. It's an illegal arrangement, a corrupt one, because people don't want to wait until the one date of the month that the board is scheduled to meet to receive their consent because they're in a hurry to sell land to make money for this, that, or the other reason. And therefore, they bribe the members of the land board to issue a special consent. So it'll either be backdated to the last one or issued on the day of the actual sitting without having been booked as is required. Do not participate in that corrupt and immoral arrangement. It's also illegal, I should say. That's what special lands board is. There's only the land control board hearings. Most land board hearings have a scheduled meeting once a month. In some of the busier ones, they might meet twice a month, and those dates are predetermined for the entire year in advance, and the schedule plastered on the boards, the public notice boards at the offices for you to know exactly when they're going to meet. So just wait, do it right, follow due process, do the right thing, and sleep easy knowing that your transaction is above board, both legally and morally. Okay? User 6130990894263 on TikTok says, which places in Kenya lands appreciate fast? Okay. Some grammar there needs to be worked on. Everywhere in Kenya, lands appreciates fast. I'm sorry, that's a simple answer. Do your homework, and I'm sure you'll find that to be true. Only thing is, make sure that the land that you're considering or the location you're considering meets your specific goal for making an investment. Okay. Thank you for your question. Edwin on TikTok says, is there a lipa mdogo thing if I want to buy a piece of land with you? Edwin, it's not something we advertise. We generally do not like lipa mdogo because when we're buying, there is no lipa mdogo. When we have to pay for titles, there is no lipa mdogo. When we have to pay for rent, there's no lipa mdogo. When you have to pay salaries for Gladys and David and everyone else, there's no lipa mdogo. By the way, guys, can I pay you lipa mdogo? Your salaries. Oh, my point is, Edwin, we are, and you can hear them laughing, okay? They will not allow me to lipa them mdogo. And because we are a commercial enterprise, we have practical considerations to make around cash flows. And because we also only sell what we own, it's an extremely cash hungry and expensive exercise. We therefore need to exit our investments in the shortest time frame possible, having followed due diligence. Okay. So it's not something we offer generally, but if you have an installment plan that you feel would work for you, feel free to reach out. We're not averse to being flexible and finding a way that might work for you and us as well. As long as we can accommodate it, we have no objections whatsoever. So reach out, let's have a chat, and let's get you owning land in Kenya safely, quickly. Okay? Thank you for your question, Edwin. I appreciate it. Elias Morioki on Instagram says, do I need spousal consent when buying land from a company? No, Elias, you do not. You only need the spousal consent when you're buying from an individual. The company's equivalent of a spousal consent is a board resolution. Okay, so never buy anything from a company unless they provide you a board resolution approving the sale of that land from their possession to you. Okay, so that's the equivalent of a spousal consent if you're buying from an individual. For a company, it's a board resolution. And we as Grand Acres and Goshen Acquisitions always do that. It's required by law, actually, even if you go to the Land Control Board, they require board resolutions. The lands registrar will also require the board resolutions and that sort of thing. So there you go.
So,
yeah.
Elias, but kindly share your first question because it's incomplete.
Elias, Gladys is asking you to kindly reshare your first question because she says it's incomplete, so that we can try and answer it within the next 7 minutes, because that's how long we have before 8 p.m. And we can cover that for you as well, Elias. Thank you. Rock Aper says, is it possible to buy land and have it sold by the realtor for about double the price after 1 year of purchase, and they give you double the amount invested? Yes, it's possible. It depends on all sorts of things. I've seen crazier numbers actually. There you go. Ethan Martin on TikTok says, hi, can you touch on ways that authentic title deed holders can be safe from land grabbers? Thanks. Ethan, one of the easiest ways is to possess the space, the land. Don't leave it vacant at all. It's vacant land tends to be the easiest target for land grabbers. Okay. So fence the thing, number one, plant trees if you can around the perimeter, or just cover the whole thing with trees if you don't have any intentions to build on it or farm on it or do whatever on it immediately. Plant trees, it's great for the planet. It'll earn you income later when you chop them down to build on. It's just all around a great thing to do. Also, it occupies the land and says to everyone obviously someone owns this piece of land because it has nicely planted trees on it. Okay, those are easy ways to deter land grabbers uh, from stealing land belonging to someone with authentic title. Now, beyond that, there's other things you can do. Uh, one of the common things I've seen some of my contacts, acquaintances, and friends do, especially for large pieces of land that they have no intention of developing further, but just hold for the long term for passive capital gains, is they give the title deed to a bank, which will do a valuation. Based on that valuation report, the bank will say, we are comfortable after assessing your income, earning capability currently and into the future. We are comfortable loaning you or opening a line of credit for you using this title deed as security for X amount loan to value, meaning it will be a fraction of the value they have determined. And that's a really savvy way to use land that you have no intentions of developing further, or land that you're holding speculatively, is to leverage it with a bank. Open a line of credit with the title secured, because what the bank will be required to do to open a line of credit for you is register a charge or against a title deed, as well as hold the title deed physically. Okay, they will have custody of the title deed and they'll register a charge on it. A charge is a formal record of a debt against a property that is serving as collateral or security for the debt. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to use a line of credit necessarily, but it's a great way to access value, latent or dormant or unutilized value in the land. In the meantime, another great deal comes up. You need some cash real quick to clinch it. You can draw against that line of credit and create more opportunities. In that way, you're making your land work for you while encumbering the title to such a degree that it's much harder for fraudsters to mess with the title deed on the back end. Okay, because for that title deed to be resold or transferred to someone else, the bank loan has to get settled first, or the bank has to release the charge, even if you haven't drawn down against the line of credit. I hope that makes sense. And there's all sorts of other ways to do that, but the easiest one is simple possession. Fence a thing, plant trees, have someone there, a caretaker. You can even let someone live there absolutely rent free. Make sure you formalize that with a simple agreement saying that you, as the owner, registered owner of this parcel of land, LR, blah, 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 allow such and such a person of ID number, PIN number, blah, blah, blah. You can have the spouse co sign if they have one, live on this land rent free for X number of years or whatever. Just have them there, you know, have a presence, and you should be okay. Those are my 2 cents on that, Ethan, and I wish you all the best. Mark Gasheru says, good evening. Would you advise buying a piece of land from an owner who has a certificate of sale from land bought through a SACCO? I would not advise buying anything that does not have a title deed that is transactionable or transferable now. Okay? Even if it was bought from a SACCO. Unfortunately, a lot of problems in our industry have been perpetrated by SACCOs, either intentionally or through incompetence or by virtue of omission of some critical step in their subdivisions and doing whatever it is they do for their members. I do not advise anyone under any circumstances to part with any money in a land transaction where the land does not have clean and encumbered title. It's that simple. No matter how good the deal sounds to be. That's my advice, Mark. And I wish you grand acres. Uh, it's now 8 p.m. It's our last live session for 2023. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has taken time to participate in these sessions every week for however long. I don't know how many weeks we've been doing it. We truly appreciate it. You enrich our mission in ways we cannot express. So thank you all. I hope you've all learned something along that period of time as well. And as we close for the holidays, we wish you safe, happy Christmas break if you're a Christian. If you're not, enjoy your holiday safely. And we look forward to creating more wealth into the future starting next year. Grand acres to you all. God bless. Pat Williams.